Are you running a marathon? Oh my god, I could never run a marathon. You sure about that? My god, a marathon? That's like 42 kilometers, 26 miles. I don't understand those people.
That used to be me, but not anymore. Here I am with the Marathon Podcast, and I'm obsessed with running. Welcome to the Marathon Podcast. My name is Christian Warwick, and I'm your host. Today, we're having a very special guest with us. We have Olympian Rory Linkletter. He's the number 6 marathon finisher at the Boston Marathon this year, and he kind of had his international breakthrough, I would say, this year with that performance. 2:07 in Boston. I really appreciated my conversation with Rory. He taught me a lot about training. He also taught me some about more speed work, how to build up those workouts, and try to make sure that I can get as much out of them as possible. I think that it's really cool to hear how Rory has learned how to kind of navigate the sport of running. And in my eyes, or in my opinion, he's kind of the rock star of running. He's a little bit different than others, and he's doing things his own way. And I really like that. I had so much fun talking to Rory. Really appreciate him taking the time. And I hope that you'll enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Let's hear what Rory had to say and enjoy this episode. Hey, Rory. Welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me. Excited to chat all things marathoning and Boston and whatever else we get to.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I think that a lot of people in the running world, if they didn't know your name before April 21st, 25, they probably do now.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's not the last highlight of my career, but it certainly up to this point was, the best I'd ever done on quite a big stage. So it definitely does a lot for exposure.
hmm Why don't you just, like, before we introduce you, just talk us through Boston?
Yeah, I mean, Boston Marathon is, at least by North American standards, the biggest race in the world, right? Like in our little world, I don't think any race gets quite as much publicity, hype, and all the things that go into it. So when I chose to do Boston, the whole idea was, I thought it would be a really fun challenge to try to do my best there and to compete at a high level there. And knowing that they always bring in a world-class field, people that have won Olympic medals, people that have won the race in the past, people that have run, you know, insane times, I knew that placing well and competing well with the front group was going to take my best and nothing short of it. So we set out this pretty crazy plan. Me and my coach, John Green, probably 4.5 months before the race, we sat down in a coffee shop and said, well, if we do everything on this paper, he had written out like a plan. He's like, if we do everything on this right, if we hit everything, you're going to be really fit. And we hit everything. So it worked. And we were pushing the envelope in a lot of ways with, our approach with volume and intensity and everything we did. And my body responded really well. And on the race day itself, it was pretty simple. If you're in good shape, Boston's a racer's race, so you kind of have to throw pacing and all those things out the window and just race the people around you. And so we were off quick, fast, and running, course record pace through I think 15K ish, and we were on pace for sub 2:04 through halfway. And then the race had settled quite a bit between 15K and halfway, and then it continued to stay settled all the way up until the Newton Hills around 25K. And around 25K, the moves started to be made. I was still in that lead group that was dwindled down to probably 14, 15 guys at that point. I would respond. What ended up happening was I kept getting dropped on the uphills and then catching on the down, dropped on the up, catch on the down. And I was really just trying to run my own effort while keeping the race in front of me. And it wasn't until the bottom of Heartbreak Hill that the big move was made, and I lost contact. It's probably 32K in, 32, 33K in. And at that point, it turned into, all right, I think at that point, I was in 11th or 12th place. There was guys up on the road in front of me that I could see were struggling already. And so in my head, I was still running for what my main goal was, which was a top 10 finish at Boston. As we proceed through the final 10K of the race, I'm basically eyes up the road, catching one guy here, one guy there. I think I was in ninth or 10th at like 35K, but I could see still 3 or 4 guys right up the road. And yeah, I just kind of was trying to make it to the finish line. Honestly, my legs were just absolutely beat and battered. And the whole goal was to not blow all the way up because I knew I was running a good day and I was going to get top 10 if I was smart. And I didn't know if I was going to catch anyone, but I knew no one was really going to catch us because the people that were in our group, we had broken away pretty far. And the people that I'd already passed had, when I passed them, I could tell that their day was pretty much over. So focus was in front of me, attack, attack, attack. Once I got within, I don't know, 3, 4K from the finish line, I turned away from the self-preservation mode and into more of an aggressive mindset of like, let's see if we can catch some of these guys. And I ended up catching Pat Tiernan at like 3K to go, 4K to go ish, moving into what I believe was ninth at the time. Then I passed Daniel Mateko at like maybe 40K. And then I caught right up to Clayton and Tabello shortly after, where that was the battle for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. No, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Uh, and at that time, I didn't really know what place I was in, but I knew I was in a good position. I knew I felt good. I knew I had one more, maybe 2 more moves to be made. And I caught up to them, took the lead of that pack. Clayton Young's lap straight on. We kind of ran up Hereford before the left turn onto Boylston together. I swung wide. He came on the inside, and I looked over at him with about 600-700 meters to go, and I said let's tango apparently, but I mean I don't remember what I said. I know I said something. He recalls it as let's tango, and I'll take his word for it. And I just was so fired up to be in that position, feeling like I'd felt and hitting really all my goals en route. Like I knew I was going to run fast. I knew I was going to place high. Um, and I knew I was going to be racing all the way to the finish line. And those were pretty much my 3 process and outcome goals of the race. I just wanted to race the whole thing. I wanted to compete all the way to the line. Super hard to do in Boston. I mean, the race chews you up. So, yeah, I sprint finish against Clayton, end up pulling ahead of him in the last like 150, 200 meters of the race. Finished 6th in 2:07:02. And yeah, that was the race from my perspective. Is just kind of, this, yeah, it was a marathon, it's just full of highs and lows and moments of doubt and moments of triumph.
Can you describe that feeling of crossing that finish line that day?
Ooh, yeah, I mean, it was a lot of joy. It was a lot of excitement, a lot of pride, and like a lot of emotion just because I knew for a long time that I could do something like that. But like, you don't have that many opportunities to do stuff like that. It's just hard. You get, maybe you run 2 majors a year if you're just doing majors. And who says it's going to line up where you're in the best shape you need to be in and you're healthy and the weather permits and things feel good on the day, your stomach cooperates. There's so many things, right? Like I never take a marathon for granted because everything can go well and then something can go wrong. It just like that. It can just happen. So I was obviously elated. I was obviously super proud of myself and super grateful for everything that had to fall into place to make it happen. And so it was just like pure raw emotion.
And then for those of us who are following you on YouTube, we were able to see this very emotional moment with your family after. I was like crying. My fiance was asking me if I was okay because I was watching this while I was doing the dishes.
Oh man. Well, I cried too, so it's okay. And I think that's the coolest thing about the marathon is it brings out a lot of emotions in you. And it brings out a lot of emotions for anyone who's experienced that, right? Like
Hmm
I don't think it matters if you're a 207 guy or just trying to get to the finish line of your first ever marathon. I think that,
Oh, I was crying too after that. I was walking down Bolton Street just crying.
yeah, it's magical. It's so, everything that goes into it, and I don't know, like, Boston is special in the way that they bring you home, right? Like, that last stretch is
Mhm.
is insane, and I feel like it would be really hard to not enjoy that. I've done Boston one other time prior, and it went horribly, and I remember leaving that in a different sense of emotional state and
Yeah.
being very motivated to come back and kind of have my moment in Boston. So, yeah, marathons are they're crazy because they take months to prepare for. You show up on the day. There's so many things that can go wrong and so many things that have to go right. You have to get lucky. You have to work extremely hard and you have to trust your process from start to finish. And that's no easy feat.
How much would you say that like, because like you said, was it 2019 that you did the Boston
It's
Marathon last
2021.
2021? And then I listened to Life in Stride, and you were talking about someone telling you don't DNF the Boston Marathon or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I
How
was about to step off
how
the
much?
course, and a guy named Parker Stinson ran by me and yelled, "You can't quit Boston, Rory." And I was like, "Ugh, I guess he's probably right." So I kept going, and I really wanted to quit, and every part of my body was telling me to quit in that moment. In my mind, it was emotion. That sucked. I mean, was not fun. So, uh, yeah, it was. But I finished, and so far in my career, I've finished every marathon I've started. That was definitely the closest I've been to stepping off the road, but uh, there's a lot of pride in like getting to the finish line.
How much big of a role would you say that Boston Marathon had in you doing so well in this year's Boston Marathon? A couple of weeks ago, I posted my very personal documentary about my journey from anxiety to Boston Marathon. I'm so proud of this work and I really want you to watch it. So if you have time one night and you want to have some more running content, take a look at this documentary, Run to Survive More Than Boston Marathon, and I hope that you will enjoy it. Back to the show.
I mean, that Boston Marathon was a real turning point in my career in general. Everything leads back to, you know, every marathon builds on itself and every marathon teaches you a lesson. And in that moment, that first Boston I did, it just taught me that I wasn't doing things the way I knew I should do them. And by what I mean by that is like I was in a training situation and a, you know, situation in life that I knew I needed change. And I followed my gut there and changed everything and changed my training group, coach, sponsorship, everything. Everything shifted
Mhm.
after that race. And uh yeah, I think if you run enough marathons and you put as much thought and effort into them, you'll have moments where like the marathon itself will change your perspective on things. And that was definitely one of those moments for me where I was like, "Oh man, I got to just return to what I know works for me." And it's not one thing, it was many things. So it's like impossible to pinpoint one thing that needed to change. It was almost like everything needed to change in some ways.
That's pretty cool. Guess that leads me to the next question, and that is, who's Rory? I mean, you were born in Calgary, but you lived most of your life in the States, right?
Correct. Yeah. So born in Calgary, Alberta, uh, proud Alberta boy. All my family's Canadian. Mom and dad grew up in Calgary. Uh, Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, like my whole family is still mostly in Canada, and it's definitely always felt like home to me. And even more so as I grow up, I feel like some special, deep connection to the memories I have of, my dad lived in Canada my whole life. My mom moved to the US. So, like, even when I was younger, I split a lot of time between the two places, even though, like, my primary residence was the US for most of my childhood. Uh, Canada was always a big part of my childhood and my development as a person. So yeah, I represent Canada internationally because when I started competing in track and field and cross country and road running, that was the only option I had. I wasn't an American citizen yet. I became an American citizen in 2020, and now I have dual citizenship, 2 passports,
Yeah.
the whole thing, but when I started competing internationally in 2015, I was just a Canadian that had lived most of his life in the
Hmm.
US at that point, but yeah, I mean, I was at the level where I was starting to try to make teams, and I was very much a proud Canadian, and that's who I represent, and that's who I imagine I'll always represent because it is something I take great pride in, and yeah, sorry, I know that there was probably more to the question, but it kinda got buried into a Canada lead.
No, but that's cool. I mean, I have a relationship to Calgary myself, having been a speed skater, spent a month there at some point, and just like, yeah, we spent most of our time at the university there, obviously with the oval and everything. But I love Calgary, and I really like Canada. So I think that's it's really cool and interesting to hear how connected you still are to Canada, although because you moved to the US when you were 5, or
Correct.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So how did you get into running? Because I know that you did like shorter distances than the marathon, not short distances, but shorter than the marathon for quite a while before you found the marathon.
Yeah, so I pretty much played stickball sports my entire childhood, like basketball, baseball, hockey, football, a lot of everything, and always loved sports, and it still is the biggest passion of mine, even outside of running. I'd say, like, majority of my free time is spent watching and consuming all things competitive sports, and, when I got to high school here in the US, I wanted to participate in, the high school sports teams, and there's a lot of options, and I was a very small kid that wasn't gonna end up playing at a high level in basketball or football, my 2 favorite sports at the time. So, I had a friend of mine that was gonna try out for cross country, and I decided that I would join in on his pursuit for cross country and just kinda hitch along for the first day of practice and see where it led, and it ended up being one of those things where I wasn't necessarily really great at it at first, but I made some friends, and I got better as time went on and kinda stuck to it for long enough that I ended up being good, and then it kind of became a passion and a love of mine probably about a year or 2 into it, and when I realized I was gonna run collegiately, here in the US for NCAA D1, that was a huge milestone for me. Once I got to BYU, which is where I did my undergrad, um, I was, you know, another guy on this great team, this university that is known for producing top talent year in and year out, and I was at the bottom of the totem pole to start. Worked my way up and became one of the better guys on the team after about a year and a half. So similar to my high school story, started here, worked my way up. It took me about the same amount of time. And then the dream of running professionally kind of was born out of the success at BYU. BYU has had a lot of people move on to the marathon and move on to post collegiate running, and that kind of felt like the most logical path for me. So, and again, just like my college career and my high school career as a runner, my professional career was not smooth sailing from the gun. It was very much trial and error for a couple of years before I kind of got my footing and figured it out.
I mean, you were a good 5K runner, 10K runner, but then when was it that you found the marathon, and what made you do the switch or make the switch?
Yeah, I pretty much wanted to be a marathoner as soon as I started running post collegiately, and that was because a couple reasons. One, the Olympics were that summer. Were supposed to be the following year after I graduated from university, and I knew based on my track times that I probably wasn't on track to make an Olympic team in the track. Like it was just going to be too tough. But
Mhm.
I felt pretty good about my chances in the marathon. And so I was like, well, I'll give it a try. Like, why not? And uh, so I dove right in, and again, just like I told you, it was not easy at first. It did not stick at first. I debuted in 2:16. Going backwards pretty hard the second half, and my second marathon was at 2:12. Same story. Went out at like 2:10 pace, 2:09 pace, and then went backwards. And then my third one was Boston, 2021. I already told you how that one went. So like I was not having a good time with the marathon to start, and but I still felt very drawn to it, and I felt inspired by the people I'd seen succeed. I had a lot of great mentors that were great marathoners, so I just was kind of trusting the process and following in their footsteps.
Yeah, and what impresses me, and I think that this is something that I've been thinking about since I messaged you about the podcast. Like, first of all, I feel like you're kind of like a rock star of runners. You're a little bit different. You're doing things your own way, and maybe not your like normal marathon runner. And then the mindset that you have seems to be a bit different too. Like, where does this mindset come from of just facing challenges in the way that you seem to have done, and just the adversity seems to kind of just make you better.
Yeah, well, thanks. First off, thank you for calling me a rock star. I wouldn't go that far. I feel like I definitely do things differently. I definitely like to be an outside the box thinker. I like to try challenge norms. I like to, march to the beat of my own drum, and I definitely take lessons from the people that have come before me that I've had as mentors throughout the years. So I definitely stand on the shoulders of giants. My college coach was an amazing athlete himself and taught me a lot. My college people that were around BYU when I was coming up, Jared Ward. My first professional team was NAZ Elite, which had Scott Fauble on it, he was one of my greatest mentors, had a lot of success in the marathon in his day. And then, going through the process of being coached by Ryan Hall, and then going through the process of my new coaching situation, John Green, and the people that he's worked with, I feel like I've just kind of taken chunks from everybody that has been around me and learned from this, learned from that. And I like to learn by trial and error a lot too. So like I'm always curious to try things and to shoot for the stars, and take information, internalize it, and grow from it. And
Mhm.
uh yeah, I mean, I think deep down, like the reason why I'm able to maybe have like an unconventional path to some success in this sport is the fact that I come from a thought process that's rooted in other areas of life, like my love for sports. Like I feel like I always thought I could be a professional athlete. I always thought I could be good at something. Didn't know it was going to be the marathon until a lot longer down the road, but that self belief and like desire to do something special in athletics in general has always been there for me, and that's been a huge part of my ethos my whole life. And then as far as like adversity goes, like I feel like adversity is my ally. Like having like those failures in my professional career and those trials in life in general are just, you know extra, I guess, things that build character and develop the person. And I think there's no separating like the person you are and the athlete you are. Like they're the same. You don't step to the start line and become some alter ego of yourself. You have to be who you are in your personal life and in your professional and athletic life. And yeah, I think it just took me a while to figure out who I was and figure out how to do things my way. And I was lucky enough to, stumble upon a lot of great people that have taught me a lot of great things over the years.
That's well said. Uh, I'm very curious about after Boston 2021 and then the spring of 2024. You qualify for the Olympics with 2:08:01, was it?
Correct.
Yeah. Um, what happens between Boston 21 and spring of 24?
Well, the number one most obvious thing is I leave my former team, NAZ Elite, and I joined forces with Ryan Hall, my coach for that whole stretch post Boston through my qualifying and running in the Olympics. Um, Ryan was a great mentor, great friend, great coach. Helped me really, you know, conquer some demons that maybe were created in my previous setting. He helped me redefine what I thought was fast and what I thought I was capable of, and he helped me kind of get back to the person I had become in my time at BYU, which was a confident, like hardworking, and I guess big dreamer in the sport. So he really just helped me find that, and then I shortly partnered with Puma right out in that same transition period. So the combination of having Puma be my partner and Ryan Hall be my coach coincided with like a big breakout in my running career. So
Mm.
there was definitely like a period of me having to trust the system and get after it and prove myself for a few months in that transition. But yeah, I kind of like I had a lot of faith in Ryan, and I believed like he could help me do anything, and if he said I could do something, I could do it. So I give him a lot of credit for taking me to that next level and elevating my performance. And yeah, that was a huge part of it.
And then you go to the Olympics. I'm guessing it's your childhood dream coming true. How was that?
Definitely, once I started running, that was the dream. I didn't start running till I was 13, 14 years old. But yes, obviously, if you're going to do the sport of track and field or athletics in general, the Olympics is the pinnacle. So becoming an Olympian meant everything. And the experience itself for me, I'm more proud of qualifying than I am like the experience itself. Like it's
Yeah.
weird. Like I made the team, and that was the number one goal that year, was just make this team, make this team. The performance at the Olympics was very underwhelming and left me wanting a lot more. It was kind of, if Boston was a turning point in my life at that stage, I think Paris was the second or the next one,
Hmm.
because that like I was pretty devastated honestly after Paris. Like I was very disappointed in how I performed. I thought I was, not nearly at the level that I believed I could be at. And it had me um, questioning a lot of things, like how did I fall so short of my goals? Like I thought after Seville, I thought maybe I could be top 10 at the Olympics, and I wasn't even close. Like I couldn't even sniff that. Now, since then, my performance at Boston, I feel like, is indicative of that level, right? Like it's on
Yeah.
par with that level. So
Hmm.
I think what I thought was true was true. I just didn't have the day that I needed to have. And maybe that's the lesson that needed to be learned, is like you won't always have the build or the day that you need to be successful in this sport. So to never take it for granted maybe is the number one thing.
Yeah. So now you are already an Olympian. Are you all like your eyes all set on 28 and a revenge there?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that every decision I make from now till 2028, that summer, is going to be about becoming the athlete I need to be in order to compete for, hopefully, like my dream, and I'm okay saying this, is like I want to be in contention for medals. Like who knows if
Hmm.
that's actually realistic, if I can actually do something like that. Only time will tell, but like I want to make every decision from now till then to give myself a chance. And I feel like Boston was a good step in the right direction, and we have 3.5 years till then, or 3 years and I guess 3 months now. So there's a lot of time. I mean, 3 years ago, I was nowhere near where I'm at now, and there's a lot of time. But I also know that time is precious, and you got to take advantage of every minute. So yeah, LA 28 will be a huge motivating factor for everything I'm doing from now till then.
I'm really curious about your training. But before we talk about that, after the Olympics, there was kind of a big thing that happened because you lost your coach, or like he quit. Um, How was that, and how did you deal with that?
Hey, if you're listening to this podcast, please give it a review. I would really appreciate that, and it would really help me to build this podcast to something that is much bigger than what it is right now. So, thanks for listening, and let's get back to the show.
Yeah, it was honestly like losing a friend, in a lot of ways. Like I'm still friends with Ryan. I went on a run with him last week. Like he's still like I would consider him like a great mentor for my life and for my career. And I would say we'll still be friends. Ryan marches to the beat of his own drum. He's different. He's a rock star, right? Like you want to talk about a rock star in our sport, like that guy was a rock star and he still is, and he's still inspiring me in so many ways. But uh I could tell he was gonna quit before the Olympics. I'm just gonna say that, like, up front, like
Okay.
like, it was pretty clear to me that he was moving that direction in his life. I didn't think it would be that soon. I thought he would give me more time. It was kind of a shock with the way it was like a breakup, right? Like, you're like, "Oh, maybe things aren't great right now, like, maybe they're not interested, maybe they wanna try different things," but and then all of a sudden, boom, right? Like, so that was the hardest part, was the suddenness of it, like, I finished the Olympics. I was on vacation with my family in Normandy, France. I was
Mhm.
having a great, lovely day, recovering from the Olympics, trying to move on past what I thought was a very sad day for me. Like running in the Olympics was a proud moment, but a disappointing one because I wanted so much more
Yeah.
for myself. And I'm in France on vacation with my family, and I get a message on my phone. It's from Ryan, and it's basically saying, effective immediately, I'm stepping away from coaching. I've had a lot of time to process this, blah, blah, blah. Wish you all the best. And that was hard. I was like, I remember my stomach like sinking. And Jill, my wife, was like, we were at like an outdoor, we were in the backyard of this Airbnb we were staying at in Normandy. And then we were like having drinks, eating food, hanging out, laughing. And like she sees me look at my phone and sees the look on my face as I'm reading this and is like, can just tell something is wrong. And she's like, what's
Mhm.
going on? And I'm like, you know, flushed. And yeah, I was shocked and saddened by it. But then it immediately became the objective was like, well, let's figure out what I'm gonna do next. And
Yeah.
had a lot of conversations with my agent, with my coaching prospects that I couldn't necessarily consider. Um, Talked to a lot of people and didn't know what I was gonna do. And I ended up taking a meeting with John Green, my current coach, who is based here in Flagstaff. And the meeting went well, and we decided, well, it makes a lot of sense. So with the fact that you're in Flagstaff and the fact that we get along, like, let's just try it. And we
Mhm.
pretty much said, like, let's try it without a commitment in mind. Like, it's almost like dating again. I'll use another dating reference.
Yeah.
I was like, let's like have you coach me for a little bit, and we'll evaluate after New York, which was my next race. I was already planning on doing the New York Marathon, so we had like a 10-week tryout, I guess, and
Yeah.
we both, I think, felt like it was going well. A few weeks in, but we kind of didn't say anything. We just kind of kept working, and then I think a month before New York, I was like, hey. Uh, this is going pretty well. I can't imagine like anything that happens between now and New York will change my mind. So let's kind of like just plan on working together for the foreseeable future, and let's see what we can do. And New York was a good result, a step in the right direction, but still kind of, not quite to the level that I had hoped for, but I certainly wasn't sad by New York. But
Mhm.
then that led into our plan and approach for Boston. I think it was again another turning point where I was able to look at the New York result, look at what I thought I could do differently, sit down with my coach and just go, let's do this. And it was like
Mhm.
a perfect storm, right? Like we laid out this awesome plan and then we just went to work and it worked. So it was the transition from Ryan to John was one that was scary at first, and I didn't know what I was going to do long term, but it ended up being like perfect for me.
Would you say that the philosophy is very different, or are you still like somehow in the same alley but small differences?
There are some big differences, but like at the end of the day, I think most marathon training is more similar than dissimilar. Uh, there's probably like three or four key differences that I could point to, and I don't know how much credit to give to each one, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
I could tell you, oh, I think like incorporating double threshold has been huge for me. And it has. It's been very helpful. I've enjoyed it and I've seen that it
Yeah.
works for me. Or we've done more volume under John. Like John is more open and willing to push the envelope in volume. And that's clearly worked really well. And we've done a lot of 10K work that in
Mhm.
marathon training, like just a lot of speed work and things that I maybe hadn't done before. And, each one of those three things were a big part of my Boston build. But like which one
Yeah.
was the thing that really pushed me over the edge? Probably all of them. Like
Mhm.
it's hard to say. I think I was really, really dialed in though on a lot of different fronts. So it's going to be really hard to pinpoint like, oh, this is the secret, because their secret is there is no secret, right?
Yeah. But I've heard you say before that the coach that you were looking for after Ryan would be like your setup or your coach for the rest of your career. Do you feel like that's where you're at now?
Yeah, I definitely am not shopping for new coaches anytime soon. I say that in like the whole hope that and knowledge that things change contextually for the coach and for the athlete depending on life, but like I don't see why I would need to change unless something happens. These are relationships though, right? Like
Yeah,
relationships can be volatile. I feel like John
definitely.
and I have a great relationship and it's working really well right now. So in if we were making goals out of it, it would be like, yeah, let's at least like ride this out for as long as we can. Um and as long as he wants to coach and as long as I'm in Flagstaff, I think in all likelihood he'll be my coach.
Yeah. Then about your training, what I love about your philosophy based on the things that I've heard is that you are a big fan of low intensity and not going like as a Norwegian, I would say like going all American because in all those Hollywood movies you see the athletes going all out and then the day after they're just like the best shape of their lives. It seems like you have a bit of a different approach.
I think I thread the needle, honestly. Like, I think I am a balance between maybe what we would call like the in between of if we have the Norwegian training model on the left and Connor Mance on the right. If we want to use
Hmm.
a very real example, like a very traditional old school American hammer and grind mentality, and it's working, right? Like he's producing
Yeah.
great results. I think I have aspects of both, but I err on the side. I lean a little bit more towards like let's not overdo any one thing. And I think John, my coach, is um, definitely more on the conservative side of not wanting to overdo certain sessions, and he's more about the body of work and like
Hmm.
stacking things and being more volume and like quantity and consistency over flashy sessions. Now, I would be like such a hypocrite if I pretended like that was the whole thing because like I had so many sessions in this build towards Boston that were like home run hits, right? Like I
Yeah.
had I had certain sessions where like and I wasn't necessarily going into them like trying to light the world on fire, but I also was open-minded to like, hey, if we have a good day today and we're going to try something hard and it's going to be grinded out, let's see what happens. And I would say I did that enough in the build that I'd have to acknowledge that that worked for me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both, and I think that's the balance I need to strike. It's like because I have an intense personality. I have a personality that likes to grind and workouts occasionally, but I also have this like inherent fear of like burning myself to the ground and like being
Yeah.
toast, like you're saying, like running yourself into the ground. So like I think I like to be like 3/4 of my training on the left and 1/4 just save that like let's just hammer something on the right.
Hmm. But you are using a lactate monitor, right?
Yes, when I do double threshold uh training, which I do probably once every 10 days at this stage in my career, I I do check lactate and try to keep it under a certain level. I've also gotten really good at just knowing. as well, like
Yeah.
having a very good intuition. And I think that's an important distinction. Like, I don't go out there and like change my workout based on lactate. I run the effort, and usually the lactate reflects what I think
Yeah.
it should. So it's it's almost like we're using it as a check, not as like
Hmm.
law, which again, I'm not sure how religiously, like, let's just use Jakob for example. Like, I don't know if Jakob is out there doing threshold work and like changing his pace drastically if he sees a reading, or if he's just taking it as input and like assessing it and maybe tweaking very slightly. Because we are more on the tweak very slightly. Like, I did a threshold
Yeah.
workout last week or 2 weeks ago. Can't remember when it was now. And I did a rep, got a reading that was 4.3 or something. And we like to stay below 4 on everything. So I switched from 2 mile reps to 1 mile reps and
Hmm.
kept the pace about the same. And my blood readings went down because, the
Yeah.
longer the reps, the more you're going to build lactate. So that was like just a small tweak within a workout that was using the blood as a guidance, and taking the information and tweaking. And the next reading was like 3.5. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that worked. We literally
Hmm.
accomplished our goal immediately. Like, it was like night and day. So that's kind of what the way the practical application. And sometimes, like, my coach will take a reading, and if I'm like really low, and he can tell I look easy, he's like, we're not going to take any more readings. I can tell you're in the zone, you're running the pace. and
Yeah.
and when I do double threshold, I generally just clip off splits, right? Like, it's like locked into a rhythm. So once we've got the data that we're in the right zone, we just take it and leave it.
And I guess also, at least for me, I coming from speed skating, we would use lactate monitors, but we would also know that the lap time we were doing or the heart rate we were having, like that is about that value,
Yeah,
right? So then you know.
I use heart rate a lot. So I check my heart
Hmm.
rate in races. I check my heart rate in workouts, easy runs. And I'm not like, again, it's more information than it is guidance to
Yeah.
decision making. But like in Boston, I remember checking my heart rate in the first 15K and being like, if we don't slow down, I will blow up. Like,
Yeah.
so I was like, I hope we slow down because I cannot keep my heart rate this high all the way to the finish. And sure enough,
No.
a couple minutes later, pace drops a little bit, heart rate comes down, and I'm like, okay, now I'm in the right zone again.
Yeah.
And I've gotten really good because I wear the Koros armband, and I've gotten to the point where like I know exactly what I can sustain for a half marathon and a marathon. And it's really cool that
Hmm.
I have those numbers, and I can go out there and do a workout. I'm at 7,000 feet above sea level, over 2,000 meters, and I can run an effort that is clearly different because of the external variables of altitude. But I know based on the data, the heart rate, this and that it's in the right zone. So
Yeah. Do you also feel like after having how long have you been working with the lactate or the monitoring?
just since I've been with John, so 6 months,
Yeah.
7 months maybe.
So I guess then you're getting familiar with your heart rate at say 4. So you can kind of cross check those things in a way, and then you don't have to have the lactate monitored every time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd say like since I wear the heart rate monitor every time, and I'm constantly been able to check, like, I know marathon effort is in the mid to low 160s for me, and half marathon effort is in the like high 160s to low 170s for me.
Yeah.
So
And your max heart rate is
I never figured it out, but I know that in the zones, like, I can't get if I'm hitting 170, we're running half marathon effort. I know it. I
yeah.
just know that
Yeah.
because I've worn it in races, I've worn it in workouts, I've worn it in marathons, half marathons. I have the data points. And in Boston, for example, I was like 168, 169, 168, 169 for a long time. And I was like, that's half marathon zone. And
Mhm.
then finally we pulled back and it got down to like 160, 161, 162. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's lower end marathon zone. So now we've kind of met in the middle, right? Like, and I'd really like checking in when I'm feeling like tired in a marathon. Like, okay, what's my heart rate say? Cause like I can almost gamify it. Like if I'm like tired in a marathon and I look down and my heart rate says it's lower than I think it should be, I'm like, you're fine. Like, don't panic. Like, you can do
Mhm.
this for a
Mhm.
long time. And if I look down and it's high, then I'm like, okay, acknowledge it's high and know that eventually we're gonna have to correct this. Like, you don't have to do it right in
Yeah.
that moment. I don't have to pull a parachute and like slow down, but I have to take the information and acknowledge that if I don't slow down at some point, my body's gonna start shutting down.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So, when how many time or how often do you have workouts where you are at higher intensity than the half marathon intensity?
There are two things that I love doing in life, and that is running and making content. And for my content to be better, I need the right music. I've partnered up with Musicbed, and because of that, you can get a free trial of Musicbed by hitting the link down below or in the show notes. Get Musicbed today and make better videos. Back to the show.
Yeah, so I would say this build, because I ran a 10K in the build and I was training with some people that were training for other events. It was surprisingly like one out of every 3 or 4 workouts were like at 10K intensity.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think that was good for me. I think I do really well. I respond really well to doing like 10K workouts within marathon training. And I think that from my experience, especially after Boston, in order to be good at the marathon in today's day and age, you have to be good at the 10K because
Yeah.
they're so fast now. Like, you have
Mm-hmm.
to almost be able to run a good 10K and a good marathon at the same time,
Yeah.
especially if you're going to cover moves, because moves are going to be made at like 10K pace almost. Like, they're going to be drastically faster than marathon pace. So if you don't
Yeah.
have that tool in your tool belt, you're gonna have a move like that made, and it's gonna destroy your race. Like, the way I started Boston, I think if I hadn't done the 10K work would have cooked me. But the fact that I
Yeah.
had the speed in my legs, I was able to muscularly absorb that speed for a longer time than I could have had I just been like super aerobically and threshold type strong. I needed that 10K strength and that 10K speed in order for my legs to withstand all the pounding and speed that I was putting out early in the race.
So what did the 10K workout look like for you?
Yeah, so I'm doing something like it tomorrow. So I give you a very real example. I'll do like 8 by K at like basically goal 10K pace down to 5K pace with like
Mm-hmm.
2.5 minutes rest. So
Okay.
it'll be like 1-to-1 recovery almost. Like, I'll start at 2 minutes rest and I'll grow the recovery as I go further into the workout. And I'm running in that workout like anywhere from like 240s down to 235. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like a hard high intensity interval workout. And it translated really well for me to the 10K, and it also translated really well to me to make my marathon pace feel slow. And I think that that's like one of the tools that has always worked well for me. I don't know if you've done much following of like the races I'll usually do early in a marathon block. I like to race short distance races. Like, I did a
Mm-hmm.
3K this build. I did a 10K as well, because I feel like when I'm sharp in those shorter races, I can go into a marathon and have it feel really slow. I never want marathon pace to feel fast. Otherwise, I'm in
Yeah.
big trouble.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, but that's really interesting. I actually today had I did 3 minutes at much faster pace than marathon pace. And I was on my knees after the last or the first two ones, and I was like, I'm so tired. And I think the mistake I made was to have almost like threshold uh breaks. So like I had a minute to a minute and a half, and I was not able to recover in between.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta
And
you gotta you gotta go long rest if you're gonna do high intensity intervals. You have to.
mhm,
I like this was my college coach, Coach Eystone, who now still coaches, I should say, Connor Mance and Clayton Young. He's big on that. Like, you'll do intervals, and it's almost like if it's high intensity, it's just assumed that you're going to take equal rest to the length of the rep. So if you're doing miles at 5K pace, you're going to take 4 minutes rest.
Yeah.
So, and that's a lot of rest for distance runners. They don't like sitting around for that long. So
No,
it's
exactly.
it's hard, and you can almost be like, oh man, do I need all this rest? But then when you look at the workout, and if you were to do that same workout with 2 minutes rest versus 4 minutes rest, towards the end of the workout, your intensity is going to suffer. You're not going to be able to run those paces that you can run. And I think what you're training, people always get into this strength first, aerobic threshold. They always think at everything through a strength lens. But I think that
Mhm.
there's a real component of like training your legs to actually run the paces and
Yeah.
making yourself comfortable in your legs for those paces more than the lungs. Obviously, the lungs are going to carry you on race day more than anything. But I think the old adage, strength is speed. So speed is also speed. So you got to do the speed.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
So you're doing 8 times 1K
Yeah.
on this, yeah. And how much would you contribute VO2 max to the marathon?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
No.
I don't measure my VO2 max like regularly, so I don't even know how high it gets. But I will tell you that I think if you look at the top athletes, like we know like the performance indicators are running economy, uh VO2 max, right? And then there's like the threshold, right? Like there's those three
Mhm.
variables that play into per, performance. And I would say you have to learn what type of athlete you are and then lean into your strengths and minimize your weaknesses. So I'm naturally a fast marathoner. Like I don't
Yeah.
naturally have great running economy. I have okay running economy. I've got decent, good enough running economy, but I probably have a better VO2 max than I do have a running economy relative to my peers in my same level.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, do you lean into your strengths? Do you minimize your weaknesses? I think you have to do both, but you also have to, you can't not work on what you're good at, because what you're good at is
Yeah.
what makes you good, right? So
Mhm.
your background as a speed skater, maybe you're like me, maybe you're more of a power based marathoner, which is a very unique lens to look at the marathon, is like power production. But especially in the super shoe era, I think having really strong, powerful legs is rewarded because you can put so
Mhm.
much force into these plates and into these foams. You're getting so much energy return from the ground that it's making someone who maybe doesn't have great running economy in a natural sense increase their running economy because of the power output that they're putting. And
Yeah.
we don't think about power in running like we do
No.
in cycling maybe, but it's
Mhm.
definitely a component, especially in super shoes, like because you're loading a plate and you're loading this
Yeah.
super critical foam that is all about energy return. And I think being light and soft on your feet and traditionally economical actually is not using the shoes to the max like they could be used.
That's very interesting. So how much do you focus on technique in your training?
I mean, I'd say when I'm running hard, I use verbal cues, like talking to myself about form more than I do anything else. Like whether it just be postural or arm placement or, leg knee drive, the hip extension, those things. Like I'm constantly focused on like, am I running like tall? Am I running forward? Am I kind of like in my physical body more than I am anything else? But I don't think I'm like necessarily trying to change how I'm moving as much as I'm paying attention that I'm moving in the right way and moving with my body, not against it. Like just leaning into the physical cues that work well for me. Uh, and I'm gonna use. I've talked about him a couple times here, but Connor Mance. You watch that guy run. It doesn't look easy, but man, it's powerful and he is moving with a lot of purpose. And I think
Mhm.
that people look at it and they're like, "Oh, it's not that smooth," but man, he is moving with so much purpose and hit and force into the ground, and I think that's why he's so good.
Yeah. No, I've been like kind of battling this of not overthinking the technique whilst you still have to kind of make sure that you get that power and that that isn't too hard to run at that pace. It's a hard balance, I feel like.
Yeah, I think the more you run and the more you just feel, like you focus on feeling and like a body part or something, it is very much more intuitive than it is like thought process oriented. Like it should be very, you shouldn't fight your body. You should naturally find what works. And yeah, it's hard because some of us don't naturally look as economical and smooth as say Ali Kipchoge or
Mhm.
Grant Fisher or Jakob Ingebrigtsen, to name a few that look really smooth when they run. But yeah, it's just like fine tuning instead of overhauls, right? It's like little things, very little.
We are getting closer to the end here, but I have two more questions for you. One is Puma. I have Puma is probably one of the brands that I've been the most impressed with this year with the marketing, like the campaigns they've had, the latest one with you, like the one or the way they are capturing us as an audience, but also coming out with these great, awesome products.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Can
work.
you? Yeah.
It wouldn't work if the product wasn't great, right? Like, I think number one thing is they nailed the product, and that's going to make all the difference. But if you're going to nail the product, you have to also nail the marketing because otherwise people won't know the product's great and they won't like have it in their face enough to get them over the edge to step out of their comfort zone and try something new. So, it's very important that they nail both sides, and I think they did. I mean, you were in Boston. They did an
Hmm.
amazing job in person. They were everywhere. Like, just for me,
Yeah.
like, in the corral, like, before the race, like, this with the Project 3 people, they just
Hmm.
had so many people wearing the product on the race,
Yeah.
and then giving those people like a spotlight in ways that they may not normally have, and then having their pop-up location right on the finish line, like right there, so that everyone walked by it, everyone got to come in and check out the shoes. And then the social media side where they're constantly churning out content around the race, around the shoes, around everything, around the people. I think that they did do an amazing job, and I was super proud to be a big part of it and to kind of be the tip of the spear, to use the term that they use in
Yeah.
the marketing, where it's like it only works if they see it work at the top and if they can use
Hmm.
it at the highest level. And you know, we had a lot of great athletes in Boston for Puma, and I was super proud to be the top Puma finisher for the weekend.
Yeah.
That was really cool, and I hope it buys me a lot of equity within the company as far as like, hey, I did that one thing that one time where I was the best I could have been on the day when it mattered a lot for you guys. So yeah, I'm super proud, and Puma's been so good to me, and I've been involved in a lot of like the shoot stuff. Like I'm the same size as like the prototypes, so I usually get shoes pretty early, and I get to be a part of a lot of the fun side of working with a brand. And yeah, I love the guys and girls that work there at Puma, and it's been really fun to be a part of the team.
Yeah, because I mean, before Boston, I don't think I would ever consider getting a pair of Puma shoes for my marathon. But now, like reading about it, seeing obviously part of it being the ads, but also the way you've been advocating these shoes, I'm like, okay, I need to try these. Like, very short, like, what is so special about these shoes, the Fast R3?
Yeah, I think it's the combination of the lightest shoe I've ever worn for a super shoe. Like in the super shoe era, I don't know if you remember, like a couple of years ago, like all the shoes were huge. They were
Hmm.
kind of not light. And
No.
if you rewind really far back in the marathon world, it used to only be about being light. Like back in the day, every shoe company's number one aim for their racing shoe was to make it lighter. But then super shoes became all about foam and plates and this and that and stack height. So to finally take all of the lessons we've learned in the super shoe era of foam, plate, stack height, and then dial in all those 3 things while keeping the shoe as light as possible and as bouncy as possible is, like, what makes it special. Because you feel the bounce, but you also feel like your feet are so light off the ground, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's awesome. I think it helps you get back to a more natural running motion, whereas
Yeah.
there was a moment in time where super shoes felt almost unnatural because they were so
Yeah.
large and crazy.
Hmm.
So, it's kind of finally gotten back to its roots while maintaining all of the science and principle that makes a shoe fast.
Cool. Yeah, here in Norway, they were sold out immediately. Like you can't get them anywhere here.
And that's the case everywhere, and it's exciting. I hope that they keep restocking them and that they have more size runs and more people can try them because I don't think anyone will try them and not be impressed. Like,
No.
they may not be everyone's favorite shoe after they've tried it, but I don't think anyone could try it and not like it. Like, I
No.
think it would be really hard to find a person that's honest, that's trying the shoe it and doesn't think it's good. Again, there's differences for different people, but most people should put this shoe on and be thoroughly impressed.
Yeah, I'm excited to try them on. Hey, one last question, and this you can keep this short and sweet. You are a family man, like you have 2 kids, and you're a professional marathon runner. I think a lot of people can relate to having kids and maybe having the excuse of saying, "Well, I don't have time to train. Don't have time to run that fast." What would your advice be to those saying that?
Yeah, I mean, number one, you got to remember what's most important, and your family's always should be and probably is for most people the most important thing. But also, like, I've heard this in said by other people, and I feel this to be true for myself. It's like you're not going to be your best for your kids if you're not your best in general, right? Like, and I'm my best version of myself when I'm running, and luckily for me, it's my job, so I actually have an extra excuse, like, to be more on top of it, but, like, I balance my life pretty well in the sense of I know a lot of professional runners that they eat, sleep, breathe running, and it's all they do, and I love running. Like, I truly love that I get to do this. I love to compete. I love to go for runs. I love everything about running, but running fits with my life, and it fits into my life, and it complements my life in a lot of ways, and it helps me live my life. So, I would say find a way to make running complement your life and not detract, and it takes a support system. It takes For me, I have a very supportive wife. I have kids that genuinely enjoy watching me run, coming to my races, traveling with me. They enjoy coming to my practices occasionally and cheering on like a track session or something. And I'd say, like, if you can include your kids in your running, it's they're gonna it's gonna make more sense to everyone. A lot of people maybe don't do that, and that might make it harder. Like, what if the next time you wanna do threshold on the track, you just say, "Hey, come to the track with me." Like, it's fun. Like, I love an audience for my workouts. Like, it's so good for the accountability and the freshness and the social environment. Like, it if you share it, it's a lot better, and that's kind of what we've found, and obviously, the fact that it's my career is a huge plus in that sense.
Thank you. That's a great advice. And thank you so much for coming on, taking the time. I know that you're pretty busy, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. It's been a fun conversation. I hope, uh,
I'm go-
I hope I increase my Norwegian audience by a little bit.
I hope so. I will do my very best.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how many Norwegians I've cracked into, but definitely a fan of Norwegian distance running and the history and everything. So, and I'm a big Jakob fan. I don't know if Norway agrees. I assume that you guys all love Jakob, but I love Jakob.
I think most Norwegians are a fan of Jakob.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much.
Okay, take care and thanks for talking to me. And yeah, hopefully this won't be the last time.
Hope not. That was such a good conversation with Rory. I had a lot of fun, and I think that especially what he's talking about with the high intensity workouts, 8x1K workouts, that is something that I'm really going to integrate into my own training. And the thing that he told us about the breaks being longer and actually progressively longer throughout the workout, that is also something that I think that all of us can really learn from. So really appreciated Rory's time. I mean, the Marathon podcast might not be huge yet, but Rory is contributing to helping us with that. And I am just really grateful. So thanks, Rory. Thanks to you who's listening. I hope that you had fun and that you learned as much as I did. And I'll see you or talk to you in the next one. Thanks for listening to the Marathon podcast.
You listen to the Marathon Podcast, brought to you by Wall Studio.